Hi, relaxed recaps here. Today, I'm going to show you the 2008 drama fantasy horror, Let the Right One In. Now just relax and enjoy. The movie begins with a man named Hakan moving into a neighborhood with a vampire kid named Ellie who lives off the blood. They get into their apartment and seal up the windows and doors to shield out the sunlight during the daytime. In the adjacent next-door apartment lives a 12-year-old boy named Oskar. His parents are divorced, so he stays home with his mom and visits his dad only at times. He also faces bullying in school from one of his classmates called Connie. Oskar, therefore, spends his evenings imagining revenge and reads a lot of books, newspapers, and magazines on murder. How hopeless he's become. One evening, Hakan prepares to go hunting for human blood. It's a regular activity he performs for Ellie to prevent her from being caught. He tricks a passerby and sedates him with halothane, after which he strings him upside down and drips blood from his forehead. Oskar's dog strays that night and finds Hakan in the act. It begins to bark to alert Oskar, looking for his stray dog. When Hakan sees that his cover will be blown, he flees at once, leaving behind all his equipment. Later that night, Oskar meets Ellie. She appears friendly and wants to befriend Oskar. First, Oskar declines and she leaves. Not that Oskar has any clue who she is, he's just proving hard to get. The next evening, as he sits in the courtyard, Ellie shows up again and sits next to him. Then Oskar, lacking much interest, hands her a Rubik's Cube he's solving and explains to her what to do. Before leaving, Oskar notices that she smells funny. And that's true because of how hungry or thirsty she is. Hakan was unable to bring her food the previous night, and that's a thing of concern for her. However, Hakan must have planned a way for her to get her food. She waylays a passerby herself. Jacques finishes bidding his friend Lackey goodnight when he suddenly hears a cry for help. The unsuspicious man goes near the seemingly helpless kid to give some help, but she pounces on him and sucks him dry of blood. Fortunately, a cat-loving man known as Gosta witnesses this attack while standing on the balcony from his apartment and goes to report the incident, not to the authorities, but to the other residents. When they get to the scene, they only find blood, now covered up with snow, but not the body. Hakan, not Eli, has moved the body. He goes to dump it in an ice hole on an iced lake. The next evening, when Oskar later finds the Rubik's Cube puzzle solved and dropped in the courtyard by Ellie, he begins to develop a deep interest in her at once. He waits to meet her again that evening and asks her name and age. When she states her age, she makes it sound as if she's uncertain how old she is. And of course, she now smells better after having eaten. The next day, Oskar stays back at school until the evening, studying how to use Morse code, invented by Samuel Morse. Connie also waits for him till he gets out and asks him to hand over what he was studying. Oskar refuses, and Connie instructs his other friends to hold him back and whip him. One of them, the whipper, feels bad and reluctantly does. Then, Connie gives Oskar a hard slap across the face, which ends up giving him a mark on the cheek. Then the bullies flee. When he gets home that evening, his mom notices at dinner that he has a cheek wound and asks him. Oskar lies and tells her he only tripped on his way home. She then encourages him to watch his steps next time he walks. But when Ellie asks him that evening, since they regularly meet, he tells her the whole story. The story about how Connie and his boys harass him constantly at school, and how one of them, Andreas, who doesn't want to be part, is always forced. Alicia encourages him to hit back the next time he's bullied, even though there are 3 of them. She also promises to be of help whenever he needs it. Meanwhile, Hakan sees them together through the window, and he hates how she's giving up her identity, but what can he do? They later go inside to continue communicating with Morse code, since they have an adjoining wall. So Oskar enrolls in an after-school weightlifting program in addition to sports. It's time to beat him up. The next time they hang out, Oskar tries to buy Ellie some candy, but Ellie can't eat food. But to cover up that part of her, she takes one mixed candy from his hand and eats it. She later goes to secretly vomit what she has eaten. Oskar finds out and embraces her. This is where Ellie begins to feel concerned about their relationship and would like to earn Oskar's trust. She asks him if he would like her if she weren't a girl, and Oskar admits. Hakan later informs Alicia that the people of that neighborhood are beginning to know him very well, and he wouldn't want Ellie to meet with Oskar that evening since he must go hunting. Alicia tries to prevent him from going, but he insists. He goes to a basketball court to look for his next victim. He then cuts the power from the entire building and traps a boy, Maddie, in the changing room. As usual, he ties him upside down and gets his instrument ready. But his lamplight fails him and stops working. Not long after that, Matt's friends, who've been bothered by why he's taking so long in the changing room, try to open the door. Hakan realizes his cover's already blown and goes ahead to pour acid over his face to prevent him from being identified. The police come afterward and he's arrested, but first taken to the hospital. When Ellie hears the news of Hakan's arrest, she leaves the house immediately for the hospital and asks the porter which room Hakan is being held. Then she climbs the building swiftly, but not as an acrobat, till she gets to Hakan's ward. As a rule, vampires have to be invited into a room before they can enter, so she asks Hakan to invite her in, and he does. Hakan then offers his blood to her since he's gone anyways. That must have been why he didn't commit suicide in the first place, to save his blood for Ellie. After draining him dry, Ellie tosses him down the window as a precaution you'll soon find out. Ellie then goes to sleep over in Oskar's room, in the same bed, Oskar wondering how she got in. This is where Oskar then asks if Ellie would like to be his girlfriend. Ellie bursts his bubble by telling him she's not a girl. This is true because Ellie was born a boy before she was castrated by the vampire who initiated her. She, however, doesn't reveal this to Oskar and asks him to let them keep things the way they are. In the morning, Ellie has disappeared but leaves Oskar a letter stating that she must go away for her to live. The next day is the school's ice skating field trip on the local lake. Connie emerges yet again to harass Oskar, but being now a little stronger than earlier after lifting his tiny little weight, Oskar dares him to move closer. Connie, who is unsuspecting, thinking Oskar to be mischievous, tries to lay hands on him, but gets a hard hit from Oskar with a metal pole. His ear splits and blood gushes out, making Oskar very happy. In the meantime, another set of students discovers Jacques' body in the ice hole where Hakan hid it. The next day, Ellie comes again to hang out with Oskar. Oskar takes her to a restricted room and pulls out a knife. He wants Ellie to bond with him, so he cuts himself and holds out the knife for Ellie to do the same. On seeing the bloodthirsty girl laps it up and asks Oskar to leave. Not to hurt him, Alicia flees while Oskar stands in shock at the sight. Then she runs and climbs up a tree for the night. The scene switches to Lackey, being disturbed so much by the death of his friend, Jacques. He earlier wished he could lay hands on the kid that gruesomely eliminated Jacques. His girlfriend Virginia has noticed him behaving abnormally since the incident. This time, he yells at her while she tries to calm him down because she can no longer take it. So she takes her leave in fury. Lackey then comes to his senses and goes after her, apologizing. Virginia ignores him and runs to her apartment. Ellie pounces on her on the way and tries to feed on her. Lackey runs to her rescue immediately. He kicks Ellie off and takes Virginia to the hospital. In the hospital, she discovers that she painfully has become sensitive to sunlight when she opens the window blinds and gets scorched. She must know about vampires too, and soon, a sudden desire for blood begins to rush through her. Virginia goes to meet Gosta, perhaps to explain this to him, but she's being attacked by his many cats. Then, because of her wild behavior, they take her back to the hospital. Now she realizes she's infected and informs Lackey about this and asks him to help her die as to not become like Ellie. But Lackey ignores her. So, when it's time for her checkup, she asks the doctor to help her open the blind since there's a brilliant sunshine. Immediately he does. Virginia bursts into flames and dies. Later, knowing what Ellie is, Oskar visits her to confirm this. Ellie admits to being a vampire, and Oskar realizes the implication of that. She also tells Oskar that she's been 12 years old for a very long time, ever since she was infected. Oskar soon leaves when he starts to feel uncomfortable with the fact that she has to feed on people for survival. Ellie also visits him after that and requests an invite. Oskar refuses to invite her in and wants to see what would happen if he doesn't. Soon, blood starts oozing out of Ellie's body in different places. Oskar sees this and accepts her into the room to help stop the blood. Oskar then asks Ellie why she kills people, and she says she doesn't have a choice. She also tells Oskar that they're not different and that if he too has a choice to kill for revenge, he would. To prove this, after cleaning herself up and wearing Oskar's mom's dress, she goes back to her room. She soon invites him over for the night. Lackey, who seeks revenge for his double loss, enters Ellie's apartment at night and finds her sleeping in the bathtub. He plans to silently eliminate her, but Oskar comes out from his hiding place and distracts him for Ellie to leap on him and take him out, though not without draining his blood. The next day, Connie tricks Oskar into coming to practice at the swimming pool for after-school sports. He has bigger plans now for Oskar. He's brought his elder brother, Justin, to help him since he feels Oskar is now stronger. While swimming, Justin tries to torture Oskar with a 3-minute challenge by holding his head underwater. It's barely even a minute when he begins to drown. Ellie shows up and then rescues him, tearing all the bullies to bits except for Andreas. Oskar then flees the region with Ellie in a trunk while they communicate with Morse code. A new Hakan has arrived. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more content like this. Until next time.